ideals of creating the kingdom of heaven on earth, but how is it actually done in a tangible, practical kind of way. So right now, we're kind of spread out all over the place, you know, and sometimes it's very difficult to create power and momentum when we're all kind of living isolated and separate from each other. So the idea of an intentional community is to live together 3 generations, 4 generations, really helping, supporting one another, creating businesses that thrive, and creating really an ideal community of sorts that not only is good for the community members, but becomes a blessing to the larger community, where we can have like different things to invite people to and participate together with the larger community. But the key thing is for our children and our grandchildren to create a supportive environment for them to grow and to thrive. So the Shahaqua community has met, the last couple of years we've had a couple meetings. Sue has been instrumental in kind of gathering people together along with the Sayers and creating stuff online. But we've actually had meetings, we've actually been to seeing properties to see how, to at least get thinking about it. We're still a long ways off. And so we've been doing this kind of thing. And then the Schmids from Austria have also been thinking a lot about this, from what I gather, and has actually, really put a lot of concerted effort into it. And now they're actually traveling on tour in America, talking to people about intentional communities. The other night from Harry, and he's been traveling in the United States, and we just thought, okay, there's a window of time here at camp, even though it kind of have a full schedule, that we would fit this time in and gather people together to talk about it. So what he's going to do is give us a basic introductory of what other people are doing around the world in terms of intentional communities, and also just to kind of create a framework of discussion so that we can all begin to have dialogue on what an intentional unification, intentional community might look like. So let's welcome these folks up all the way from Austria. Take it over.
Welcome again, and thank you for being here. My wife and I, we just arrived yesterday on invitation from Gregg and Sue. What has been in my mind was like, we are at the end of the 21-year course. We all went, the first generation went. In our hometowns, we struggled, and there was 4,000 years ago somebody else doing that, going through a 21-year course. It's the Jacob's course, we call it from the religious terms. Oh.
How do you turn the volume?
And or you just use the computer.
Actually, it's a brand new computer. I don't know how to adjust the sound. But the music's
oh, here we
go. Yeah, we'll just turn it down a little bit.
Just turn it down. Yeah.
So anyway, I tried to understand what was the role of Jacob at the end, because this is now the end of this 21 years. So actually he went through all his struggles, all his cheats with his uncle, but he ended up being wealthy and healthy, had a big family, and he was not attached to those things, but he was ready to actually give that for world peace. His world was not the world what we understand, but was his brother and his 400 soldiers ready to take him away. And so I said, well, how did this end, this whole circle of this 21 years? Actually, it came to a showdown, and he was ready actually to sacrifice, to bow down and give everything for the sake of what we would call world peace today, in our world. And it ended up with a big blessing, and we didn't actually have to give it. So then I was researching Father's words. Father essentially said the same thing, that all what we have in property is actually like stolen property. That's the words he is using. And we are supposed to cleanse that through the Messiah, through two parents, and not lose it, but get it back from God to build the kingdom. So also he says no attachments. So, well, then he said, okay, kingdom building, there's something. Then we have another figure in the Bible, Moses. 21 years, actually 40 years in his case, going through the wilderness. And he was not supposed to last 40 years. It was to be just 21 days. Maybe you know that. But it ended up being so long because there were problems. And it ended up that first and second generation got separated. And that was the main problem why it didn't work in the end. So again, there's this change. So I was thinking, well, we are kind of on the brim of that. And Engineering keeps talking about agent of change, about ownership. Father is talking about this, Coggenim, Freedom Society. So we cannot just stay as we are. Even Engineering tries to make fun of it. You know, it's like she said, Blitzkrieg, going in, doing mission, coming up, like this. She's trying to get all perspectives so we could understand it's time to build, to consolidate. So in the end, I ended up looking, is there anybody in the world, or in Europe, because I come from Europe, who already built something sustainable, what we could use as an example? And I found actually quite a few very successful communities. They are kind of concentrated on the third blessing, like environment, clean nature, healthy living, this kind of thing. But you can do this if you ignore the first and the second blessing, because it's the third one. So they have some tools in the first blessing and in the second to actually basically make decisions together as a group and to solve quarrels or problems. Basic tools actually which are not new, which the native Indians already used and tribes all around the world are using. Take tools to stay together. That's the main thing. Everybody has to agree on those things and behave like that and respect those rules or those tools. So all those communities actually, they are big and small. They are, the smallest one is just one person. It's still a community because this person is very open for the rest of the world, and the rest of the world is visiting that person. And the largest one is 1,000, and they regrouped in different, what we would call tribes. So I welcome you to enjoy that film. It's a recent documentary from 10 European communities. We cannot watch all of them, but the most interesting ones.
So we're going to watch, what, 10 minutes of this or so?
Yeah, each one is about 10 minutes.